Now, it turns out that humans have a systematic error, a bug, a bias in how we think about pressures and behavior change. So if I ask you to get people to do something more, eat more M&Ms, it turns out that people gravitate towards promoting pressures. They will generate a bunch of interventions based on promoting pressures. Well, I can make it more tasty or run advertising campaigns, etc. The reverse is true if we ask people to eliminate a behavior or make it less likely. So if I ask people to stop smoking, most people think about, well, I can tell you how bad it is for you. I can make it very expensive via taxes. I can make them harder to buy because you need an ID. I can make fewer and fewer places that you can smoke. What that means is that there is often an ignored side of each kind of behavior change. You can imagine for inhibiting pressures, actually we can attack promoting pressures. If we want people to stop smoking, we can ban advertising, which is what we did very effectively. When I grew up, there were billboards everywhere. There was, sort of magazines, ads, etc. And all of that has been done away with by law. So you can't advertise cigarettes. We got rid of that promoting pressure, that thing that made people, attach to it with a strong identity in the first place. And again, vice versa for promoting pressures. The example I often use is Uber. Uber is not about promoting pressures. Every once in a while, they'll run some promoting pressure thing. Hey, it's going to be a Tesla, or it's going to have puppies, or it's going to be, you're going to get free ice cream or something. But most of the time, it's about reducing inhibiting pressures. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be easier. You're going to be able to go farther. These are all things about reducing inhibiting pressures. Why was that so successful? Well, because it wasn't where everyone else was focusing. There was a competitor at the time that their value proposition was, instead of a black Lincoln picking up from the airport, sort of an old broken down black Lincoln black car, you'd be a silver Audi, a new recent model, sort of higher quality experience. Did they do well? Absolutely not. Why? Because it doesn't really matter what kind of car picks you up. What matters is that it is cheap, easy, and efficient, right? We can remove those inhibiting pressures. That's why we build a pressure map. So a pressure map is simply, think of it as an up arrow and a down arrow, where you're mapping both of those pressures together, because then you can make sure, hey, I'm filling in both sides of this equation. I'm not just paying attention to sort of insights or pressures that I generate on one side. I'm seeing them on both sides as a complete unified picture. So that's why we build a pressure map, is because we want to make sure structurally that we can sort of debug some of that bias piece. There's another thing that we can do that I sometimes recommend to people, which is, imagine that you were trying to get people to not do something. Well, sometimes that's just framing flip. Hey, how do I get people not to take black cars? That makes me think about all of those costs and other kinds of things. We'll do more of that in the design phase, but it can be useful when we're doing this insights phase, when you're listening to people and looking at data, to really be thinking about both sides of this equation.